Hi again then guys, and so we've got another special projects build for you today, and this time it's something a little bit different for a couple of reasons. One reason is because this car has been almost more than any other requested for me to do an updated version of it. It's a very temperamental and notoriously difficult car to get the best out of, arguably more so than pretty much any other supercar in the game, even the Veyron. It is, of course, the GT by Citroen. This is the road version. And the second reason why I'm doing this as a special project, rather than as I would have usually done just as a daily tune, because that is what it is, a top speed tune, well, that's purely because I'm trying to get, as you guys will have seen, all of the updated Le Mans prototype tunes out over the next week or so. So I didn't want to interrupt that, so I decided to release this as a special project instead of releasing it in, say, a couple of weeks. So this tune is not perfect, and I have to make it clear that this car in general, not just with this tune, but the car in general is only for specific fans of the car. If you are not specifically a fan of the GT by Citroen, then you're pretty much wasting your time using it, because even with a perfect tune, it's only as good as other supercars are anyway. So there's really no advantage to using it if you're purely looking to win. This car, and this tune specifically, is for people who are already big fans of the car and just want it to be more competitive, like myself, so that you can use it more often. So, obviously there's no visual upgrades on this tune, so we'll go straight over to the garage for the updated tune, and then out to the track to see what it can do. Now, I do need to make it very clear that this tune is not perfect. It's my belief that this car cannot be perfected. It's kind of like the Veyron, I think. With the Bugatti Veyron, you have to decide whether you want speed or handling. You cannot have the best of both. It's just not possible with that car's current physics. This car is the same as far as I'm concerned. You can get great speed out of it, and you can get pretty decent handling, but you cannot get both to be perfect simultaneously. Not at the moment, anyway. So I would strongly encourage you guys to keep refining this tune. I will be doing so myself as well. And of course, as always, if I bring out a better version, I will give that to you guys on my channel. So, for this revised tune, I've increased the rear brake balance to 6, just to allow you to bring the car to a halt in a more controlled manner. For the ride height, we've got the rear as low as possible, then the front on 85. I know it's common practice to have the front as high as possible. That does make the car better in a straight line, but it makes it almost impossible around corners. Springs we've got on 20, front and rear. For the dampers, 1, on compression that is. For extension, 4, anti-roll as high as possible. Camber we've got on 4.5. You may want to increase that. It is still drivable if you increase it. Neutral toe. For the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 249. Then I've brought up the final drive to 5 to do a gearbox flip. Then clicked the auto setting down and up 1 back to 249, which then allows you to reach these individual gears of 3.3, 2.2, 1580, 1180, 930, 765 and 640, and then I put the final drive down to 3.6. For the diff, we've got lowest initial torque, highest acceleration and lowest braking, all of your power upgrades of course, and your downforce obviously set to a minimum with the full weight loss package. So that's it for the updated tune on this car, and as I said, I would encourage you to experiment with this car, refine it, try your own ideas on it to see what works better or worse. So let's now go out to the track to see what it can do. Now, with the GT by Citroen, the speed has never really been an issue. For its power, it's an extremely fast car. This particular tune, it cruises at over 290. It will do easily over 320 with draft, well over if you use NOS as well. In fact, I have no idea what the actual top speed on this car is with draft, because I've never been behind anyone for long enough to see, basically. It overtakes people so quickly. This car absolutely devours the draft. The problem is, of course, having, like with the Veyron, having that speed with the handling. Now, I'm not claiming that this is a perfected tune, certainly not, it's far from it. I don't personally believe that you could ever perfect this particular car, it's just part of the car which is as it is, and I don't think you can ever change that. However, this is much more competitive than it was, because of course my existing tune for this car could do around the high 280s, but it wouldn't turn the corner. Or if it did, you'd have to slow down to like 260. Whereas now, it will do, as I said, over 290 on the straights, and it can take the corner at over 280, as you can see now, with no problems whatsoever. Well over 280. It likes it the most at the top of the corner, as many of these supercars do, but you can actually bring the handling down more towards the bottom of the corner, even right down to the bottom of the corner, and it starts to get twitchy there, but it can hold it at around 270, of course, so there's no real reason to go down there, but it can do that if you need it to. Now the problem comes, because the car's pretty much perfect on its own, it will give you fantastic lap times. The problem comes in when you draft someone, because on the straights it will draft up to, as I said, well over 320, but once you get up around, say, 315, it starts to weave again on the straights. Now it doesn't continue doing it, it only does it at those speeds. The main problem is on the curve, because on the curve, if you try and take the corner at more than, say, 310, it starts becoming skittish. So this car definitely has the potential to win races, and on its own, it's pretty much perfect. But it definitely needs more refinement. Now, this is a very early prototype tune, if you will, just to bring the car under control, really, to give you guys something to work from. I've not perfected the car, certainly not. This is just, as I said, for you to build and improve on, because the car definitely has potential for those of you who like the car, myself included. I really like the GT by Citroen, and I'd like to use it more. Now, there is one thing that I would definitely recommend having on this car, unless you want to spin out, and that is active steering. Now, I know a lot of people don't use active steering. I'm not sure why. I guess pride, maybe. I always use active steering because I don't see the point of doing otherwise. If you can have something that genuinely helps you, why would you say no to that? Unless it's, as I said, pride. So I always use active steering anyway, but with this car you pretty much have to use active steering. So if you bear that in mind when you're using it, and as I said, I would strongly recommend that you try to tune it up to get it better. But overall, I hope you enjoy driving the car. As I said, it certainly has plenty of potential. And that's it for this special project. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.